role, and today this is one of the largest voice biometrics implementations in the Southeast Asian region. So what's happening in India? Umesh talked about Unifore's focus. I just did a very small Google search and I said banking frauds in India, and look at what comes out on Google, and it's quite stunning. And if you're able to look at it, I'll show you some of these little ones that are here. Public sector banks lost over 9,000 crores over the last 3 years in banking fraud. Now, that's a stunning statistic. That's just coming out of me typing into Google, right? And then you talk about how much fraud is there in the city of Mumbai, some of the banks and private sector, and what's happening there. So that was nice, right? But if you've been following the media, and there are many journalists among you who have been writing about it, so you may see some of your own articles here. Phone banking fraud, right? Someone went into the phone bank, took somebody else's identity, transferred 1.5 lakh rupees. This is on the 15th of June. 2 lakh rupees from an army officer's account. That was Jan 21st. Mobile banking fraud, this is a couple of years ago, cheated of 2 lakh rupees. Right. The Hindu writes again for someone who's done online banking fraud for 18.8 lakhs. So these articles seem to be coming with great regularity in the media. So I think one of the analysts, consultants in the market, Deloitte, did a study, and that was called the India Banking Fraud Survey for 2012. This was done in February. Again, that was available. If you just did banking frauds in India, you can find this report when you do it on Google. And it's quite interesting, right? They interviewed all the public sector, cooperative and private sector banks. And I'm just presenting some of their findings here. So, 93% of the respondents say the banking industry has seen an increase in fraud incidents in the last 12 months. Retail banking has incurred the maximum number of fraud incidents. And the banks are able to recover less than 25% of their losses in these fraud incidents. So this does impact banks significantly. The average loss per incident for nearly half of those respondents from the bank is that it's more than 10 lakh rupees per incident. That's a lot of expense and cost that these banks are incurring. So what else did Deloitte find out from talking to the banks? Frauds in this banking, in the retail and private banking sector, are primarily due to identity theft. Somebody getting hold of your account details, impersonating you, changing your bank account details, and transferring money without you knowing it. All the banks, nearly all of the banks, 83% of them, said that this is going to increase in the next 1 or 2 years. But here's the interesting statistic. When a fraud like this happens, all the banks say that it takes them about 6 months to even discover it. And that's a stunning statistic. So what does Deloitte say? It says the retail banking is identified as the major contributor of fraud and will continue to see this into the foreseeable future. And this despite the RBI's circular in 2009. It's the volume and the decentralization of the banking system that's leading to this, and so you need more secure capabilities to prevent these frauds. That's Deloitte. So what are governments around the world doing? The FFIEC has already accepted the use of voice biometrics. The Basel guidelines for banking also talk about voice biometrics being used. Voice biometrics is supported in the court of law as evidence. And the MPFI, I think Umesh may have touched upon it, has also brought in a resolution that's also available publicly on the MPFI's website on the use of voice authentication for transactions below 1 lakh rupees. What do analysts say? So Gartner says that if you want to do mobile authentication, one of the key things, and it's right at the bottom, is the use of biometric authentication such as voice authentication, because everything else is impractical. Dan Miller, one of the analysts for Opus Research, also says that you can't steal a person's voice print. By the way, there was an incident in Malaysia where people stole somebody's fingerprint. Right? They had expensive cars. I think one of the car manufacturers stopped making the ability to have fingerprint-based locking systems, because in Malaysia, there are a lot of incidents where people would cut off their thumbs and drive away the car. Right? So you can't do that with your voice. And this has led to a rapid adoption. I'm going to end my presentation with giving you a flavor of large numbers of institutions that have widely deployed voice biometrics. I'll point to one particular one. Vanguard in the US is now doing it for some of the most high-value transactions that they have. These are transactions that are worth millions of dollars for people, and they're using voice authentication to sign these documents. That's how secure they believe the technology has become in this industry. And I just wanted to leave you here with all these names of people who are using it in a commercial deployment, and leave you with one last video which shows us what the future may look like.
My voice is my password.
And Umesh for those insights and explanations. For our photojournalist friends in the audience, we're just going to take a quick opportunity now for one picture. If you gentlemen could just stand up. Around with microphones, so just flag if you have a question.
With how many banks are you planning to tie up within the first year of operations, and do you think private banks will be early adopters?
What the video I showed you with basic subkin, the service is already live with 5 banks in the country. This includes both public and private banks. We are in discussions with a lot of other banks as well, and for other use cases. I just showed you financial inclusion, but there are a lot of use cases in mobile wallet, mobile payments, and so on. And the Indian banking system seems to be very warm to this idea. And so I think in the first year itself, you'll hear a lot of announcements from the banking system. As I said, already 5 banks are using this for financial inclusion.
What are those 5 banks?
So as I said, these include both public and private banks. In public space, the larger one is Syndicate. In private, the larger one is Axis.
How do you name all the 5?
Some of these are in pilot stages, and so it's best disclosed as they scale up.
How much business is this joint venture, targeting the first year of operations?
So, first of all, a clarification. This is a technology partnership, which is now got into a technology and marketing relationship between Nuance and Uniphore. As Sunny explained, that globally, the footprint of voice authentication technology is very, very large. And so we see Sky as the only limit in India as well. India, the opportunity here, 1.2 billion people, out of which 50% unbanked. So, we are seeing that the opportunity is very vast for us to even, put a number or estimate. Sky's the limit is how I put it.
Umesh, could you elaborate on your partnership? That will help. In terms of
the revenue share.
Revenue share, and what is the agreement about, and for how long is it?
So Nuance, as we disclosed, that this started as an academic relationship between Nuance and IIT Madras in
4 years ago.
4 years ago, in 2008. As Uniphore got incubated out of IIT Madras as a commercial venture, this became a commercial relationship between Nuance and Uniphore, which basically started as a technology partnership and now has grown into a technology and marketing partnership between Nuance and Uniphore. It's a long-term partnership, and the contours are that while Uniphore launches its solutions in the banking and financial services space in the country, Nuance would continue supporting Uniphore from a technology and marketing perspective.
In terms of capital, can you tell me what's the capital base of Uniphore? for, and are you looking at more capital because you want to scale up? Could you just elaborate?
So Uniphore is a 4-year-old company, already institutionally funded, and we have been in operation. We are a profitable company.
Who are promoters?
So the promoters are myself and Ravi, and there were initial investors, institutional investors. All of this is available publicly on our website. You can check that.
Would this require your partnership with the banks?
No, absolutely. Banks, NBFCs, all entities in the banking and financial services space. We hope that the ecosystem grows along with them. As I said already, 5 of these banks are our customers and partners, and we are just looking to harness partnerships with those institutes in a larger way now, beyond financial inclusion as well.
And if I may add to your question, while this grows and Uniphore's, we support Uniphore's focus in growing it across the banking sector, the use of this technology is going to become quite commonplace because as Nuance, we're also working with a lot of the device manufacturers to bring these capabilities into those devices, into your mobile phones. So this ecosystem is going to have a partnership like ours with Uniphore, banks and financial institutions, payment gateways and payment companies, the blessings of the regulators, but also equally important that the telcos and the device manufacturers are also going to be an important part of this ecosystem. And this is going to become larger, and those relationships are also going to get more solidified as this industry grows.
In terms of the business, I mean, where you stated in the release, a lot of potential in m-commerce, m-health. So where do you see, in India, the business, which will be, the main business drivers, or the growth drivers, which segments for your particular application?
For our particular application, the one that we are launching today, we see the single largest adoption coming from the BFSI, banking and financial services space. This will include banks, payment gateways, non-banking financial companies, microfinance companies, insurance companies, and the likes. The capability of speech recognition and speech biometrics, and a lot of products that Nuance has, and a lot of solutions that Uniphore is working on, will have other implications in healthcare, education, and so on. But for the one that we just showcased and we are launching today, BFSI is the largest adopter.
And how big is the m-commerce market in India? What kind of number are we talking about?
Let me comment from the Nuance perspective. I'll be very candid in saying that we haven't seen a single report that has quantified this size. Obviously, there are various definitions of how big this market is. To us, those numbers hold significance, but they're not really a guidepost for us because that's still a very small, that's just the tip of the iceberg today in that size. So those numbers really are not, don't hold that much sanctity for us. They will change over time and with adoption. But what's really important is that are these scalable, because most initiatives till today, until we've got this partnership announced, have really been something that has scaled nationally. They've always been in one or the other pilot or one or the other state. We believe the simplicity that the applications that Uniphore builds out with our technology will allow widespread adoption. And that's going to change the analyst's view on what really is the market, because the market's just not m-commerce. The market's just not financial inclusion. It's a sum of those, but more. Entertainment, all of those capabilities that you talk about today are going to find new ways in which you will make payments and access. All of these things, when you put together, the market is very big. Between a 10 and a 15 billion, it's a rounding error.
And just to add to that, the point that Sunny makes, that over 400 million eligible people in this country don't have a bank account. There has not been a single technology solution which sort of says that we will encompass all of these 400 million customers. There are over 500 million who have bank accounts but are going through a lot of inconvenience from a usability perspective, a lot of frauds that Sunny highlighted, and so on. So the opportunity in the unbanked space as well as the currently banked space is obviously in front of us. And then once we have people using electronic channels like the mobile phone for doing banking and payments, then the whole world opens up in terms of commerce by adding a lot of payment services. Ticket booking has made a case in point in the internet space, but nobody has made a dent in the mobile space. But we believe that solutions like these, which are just reducing the usability barrier, entry barrier for even an illiterate user, and also robustifying the security by adding a biometric layer, will just open up the entire market.
For this biometric application, I think Nuance has the patent right. But what does Uniphore bring to the table?
So as I said, the relationship is of a technology and a marketing format. We leverage Nuance's core technologies to build solutions in, case in point, the banking space. So the mobile voice banking as a product is something that Uniphore has built while using the core technologies of Nuance, namely voice biometric and speech recognition.
Are there any other questions? Okay, well in that case, I just wanted to, if you want to know more about the solution, you do have a case study about the deployment of mobile voice banking product in your press kit, as well as we have a demo here with us today, and I do encourage you to approach